No one expected Sophie Grégoire Trudeau to walk away from her marriage looking freer, calmer, and happier than ever. For years, she stood behind Justin Trudeau, even as rumors rose and the marriage visibly strained. But the moment she stepped out of that life, everything changed. Sophie didn't fade. She transformed. And her transformation shocked Canada. Because right after she left, a different story began circulating. A rumor that she had grown too close to someone outside the marriage. Nothing was ever proven. But the timing, the silence, and Sophie's sudden glow made Canadians wonder if the emotional separation happened long before the public announcement. Did she quietly find comfort elsewhere? Was she simply exhausted by years of public pressure? One thing is clear: Sophie's new life is raising questions no one asked before. This is Sophie Trudeau's life after leaving Justin, and the stunning transformation that has left Canada in disbelief. Let's find out more on Empire Elegance. For a long time, Canadians believed they were watching a real-life fairy tale. Justin and Sophie Trudeau seemed to embody the perfect modern couple: youthful, photogenic, charismatic, and perfectly aligned with the image Canada wanted to show the world. Every photo looked polished. Every appearance seemed harmonious. Every speech projected unity. But the truth, as always, was quieter and far more complicated. Behind the scenes, Sophie was often overwhelmed by the weight of the role she unexpectedly grew into. She had married Justin before the politics, before the scandals, before the constant cameras. She never asked to become a global political figure overnight. Yet suddenly, she was expected to be everything at once: a supportive wife, a perfect mother, a national symbol, and a steady emotional anchor during Justin's darkest moments. Friends who knew her speak of a woman who felt things deeply. She was sensitive, intuitive, emotional, the kind of person who absorbs the energy of everyone around her. Justin, by contrast, was a showman. He thrived in the spotlight. He loved the stage, the noise, the attention. Sophie often preferred quiet. Slowly, the strain began to show. Canadians noticed it without fully understanding it. The subtle distance between them, the carefully managed smiles, the reduced appearances together. Sophie often appeared as though she was smiling out of duty, not happiness. Her speeches grew shorter. Her expressions became guarded. The fairy tale was cracking, long before anyone knew. But Sophie stayed. She stayed for her children, who were still young. She stayed for stability. She stayed because walking away from the Prime Minister of Canada isn't simple, emotionally or politically. And perhaps she stayed because she didn't yet have the clarity or courage to choose herself. That clarity would come, just not in the way anyone expected. Justin Trudeau's political career was a roller coaster of highs and lows. With every new scandal, every controversy, every public backlash, Sophie was pushed further into a spotlight she didn't choose. She was expected to be strong when she felt fragile, present when she wanted distance, and supportive even when she privately disagreed. Her world became a cycle of managing emotions: his, the public's, the children's, the country's. She carried burdens quietly, trying to maintain a calm facade, even as the marriage felt increasingly fragile. Feeling lost, Sophie turned to spirituality, meditation, therapy, and wellness practices. She tried to reclaim her identity, piece by piece. But with every step toward self-discovery, Canadians noticed something else. She was becoming more distant from Justin. That distance left space for speculation. And speculation soon turned into a rumor. Among all the whispers, one name rose to the surface: Dr. Marco Spitoli, an Ottawa radiologist. Let's be absolutely clear: no evidence ever confirmed any relationship. Not a single reputable source verified an affair. But the rumor didn't need proof to spread. It spread because Canadians saw a marriage already on shaky ground, and people always search for a why. The public began linking innocent coincidences into narratives. Sophie was spending more time focusing on personal growth. She was appearing less frequently beside Justin. She often spoke passionately about emotional well-being, pairing it with a new sense of independence. People noticed her warmth with others, her tendency to connect deeply with friends, and her increasing absence from political events. And then came the timing that made the rumor. Just as the marriage's cracks became impossible to hide, the Batali rumor exploded on forums, social media threads, and gossip pages. It didn't matter that the rumor was built on nothing factual. It mattered that it felt believable because the marriage itself no longer looked whole. It added an irresistible layer of mystery. Some wondered if Sophie had emotionally checked out long before the official announcement. Others wondered if she had simply found emotional support in someone who listened to her at a time when Justin was consumed by politics. No one knows the truth, and Sophie never addressed the rumor directly, which only fueled more speculation. On August 2nd, 2023, the announcement finally came. Justin and Sophie released synchronized Instagram posts declaring they had mutually decided to separate. It was calm, controlled, and diplomatic. The kind of message that sounds perfect, but reveals nothing. To Canadians, it felt rehearsed, too polished for something so emotional. The public immediately sensed that this wasn't sudden. It was the end of something that had been dying quietly for years. People pointed to the signs. Sophie had already moved into a separate residence. Her social media presence had taken a new direction. Her energy seemed lighter. She appeared more like a woman who had already made peace with the decision. The announcement didn't shock people. The timing did. Because shortly after the statement went live, the old rumor resurfaced again, louder than before. The question on everyone's mind wasn't why they separated. It was when their hearts had separated. If the country expected Sophie to retreat into silence after the separation, they were wrong. She blossomed, publicly, visibly, dramatically. Her aura shifted. Her posture seemed more relaxed. Her social media felt genuine, unfiltered, more like a woman rediscovering joy than someone recovering from loss. She appeared brighter, more grounded, more alive. For many Canadians, the transformation was proof that Sophie had been holding herself together for years. Now, with no pressure to play a political role, she looked like someone exhaling after a very long breath. Of course, some connected her glow to the rumor. Others believed the opposite, that the rumor was simply a symptom of a woman who had already found her freedom. But regardless of the theory, everyone agreed on one thing. Sophie looked happier without Justin. And that, for many, was shocking. After the separation, Sophie didn't disappear. She reintroduced herself. Her book, Closer Together, became a declaration of independence. It was deeply personal, speaking about self-worth, emotional resilience, connection, and healing. She stepped fully into her passion for mental health and well-being. She took on speaking engagements, appeared on podcasts, and embraced her own voice with a confidence she never displayed as the Prime Minister's wife. The change was striking. The softness in her tone had returned, but this time it was paired with strength. She spoke with vulnerability, but also with authority, as someone who had lived through emotional complexity and come out the other side stronger. In recent months, Sophie began opening up more directly about her marriage in carefully chosen interviews that revealed just enough to keep the public intrigued. She spoke of emotional exhaustion, of feeling unseen, of struggling behind the scenes. She didn't attack Justin, but she didn't protect him either. Her calmness in these interviews made Canadians lean in closer. Her body language said things she didn't verbalize. Her pauses were heavy with unspoken truth. Viewers sensed that there was far more to the story than she was willing to say, and that added to the mystery. Without naming anyone, without addressing any rumor, Sophie allowed the public to read between the lines, and they did. While Sophie was rediscovering herself, Justin Trudeau's political fortunes were collapsing. His approval ratings plunged, his party fractured. Former supporters expressed disappointment. His leadership was questioned more loudly than ever before. The contrast became impossible to ignore. The man who used to embody optimism was now struggling, while the woman once overshadowed by him was rising. Canadians began saying something unexpected. Sophie got out at the right time. Her happiness felt symbolic, a reminder that she had escaped a world that no longer served her. The separation left Canadians divided. Some believe Sophie left because she was deeply unhappy. Others believe the emotional distance had been building for years, long before the announcement. And a third group still wonders whether the rumor, even if unproven, reflected an emotional reality that Sophie could never publicly explain. But the truth may never be known. What is clear is this: Sophie Grégoire Trudeau is no longer the woman she was beside Justin. She is freer, more grounded, more authentically herself. Her glow today is the glow of someone who chose to reclaim her life, whatever the real story behind the closed doors might be. This is Sophie Grégoire Trudeau's life after leaving Justin. A life filled with confidence, mystery, and a transformation no one saw coming, whether the rumors were nothing more than whispers, or whether the truth is far more complicated than Canadians will ever know. One thing is undeniable: Sophie didn't just leave a marriage. She stepped into a new version of herself, and the world is finally seeing who she really is. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Empire Elegance, and hit the notification bell for more powerful stories about the lives and legacies of the world's most influential figures. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in our next video.